Hey, Bill. Thanks for
Yes.
joining for this fireside chat with AI Certs and Avigna LLC. Finally, we are here.
See, it's so great to chat with you today. Thank you.
Yeah. So wanted to put this on the calendar to discuss. We are into the partnership business around AI certification. So, if you can give me a rundown on where AI Cert stands right now and how is it going in the today's world where everybody's scared.
Sure. Well, you know what? You're absolutely right about the scared. There's a lot of anxiety out there, right? I joke you can't go 5 minutes and not hear those two letters. Spoiler alert, there's times I'm sick of hearing those two letters. But there's so much noise, and that's why I appreciate the chance to chat with, people. There, I think everyone understands, but in case they don't, with these big headlines where you see, 10,000 people laid off, 16,000 people laid off in the
Hmm.
name of AI, that's not true. The layoffs are real. The reason, attributed to AI is a lie. It's to appease Wall Street or to ship jobs overseas. So AI is more likely to come for your tasks, and that's a good thing, though, right? Because if you can get 3, 4 hours a week, freed up from doing these mundane tasks, you can use your institutional knowledge and your experience to be a better employee, or if you're a leader, for your employees to be better. What's exciting about AI certs is, and nobody else does what we do.
Yep.
We don't train on AI. Our courses train on how AI impacts specific job roles with a certification, and no one else does that. And so we think of ourselves as more of a certification body that provides training through our partners like yourself. I think everybody understands that you can learn anything you want for free on the internet, right? So if you were going to go out and learn this AI thing, what would you do? You would probably go look at case studies. Then you go look at cool, what's going on in your industry. Then you'd go play around with some AI tools. There's a whole bunch of them, right? And there's new ones every day.
Every day.
Um, but in the end, you are legit AI ready. Prove it. That's where the certification comes in. That's why there's been such a, welcoming in the marketplace, because everybody understands that they got to get AI ready, but they need to prove it. And if you're an executive, you got to make this significant investment to get your entire workforce AI ready. How do you know that you have a good ROI? The first thing is, did your staff get certified? So that's kind of how we set different in the marketplace.
Yeah, so I'll put my perspective out. Since you mentioned about the recent layoffs, for me, the experience of layoffs started like last year when I started seeing, especially when we had especially in my area, the Doge effect was taking big toll. So a lot of people were getting replaced, the rift, what we call it. And this was not new to me. I was kind of reliving this thing. Like I've done it back in 2002 when we had the dot-com bust, and then
Yep.
we had the 2008, the financial crisis, similar. So basically, it's like a fear factor. And to your point, it is reality. We can't ignore that. But what I did as of last year, I came up with my story in this book, Unblocked, where I put my 32 years into three crashes, including current, that basically the message is stop buying the fear, let's start building the future. And that's where certification and upskilling does come into
I love
play.
it.
And
Yeah.
that's where I said, okay, enough is enough. Maybe I was hiding. So I just put everything out there in the form of business frameworks and strategies. This book is again not a textbook. It is like a manifesto around frameworks that I have used in my company, Avigna, which means remover of obstacles. So I'm counter to the fear-based attitudes. I said, okay, you need to be more courageous. Yeah, look fear in the eye and do the thing that you think you cannot do. And that's the
And
quote from Eleanor Roosevelt that I have in my book as well, and I live by that myself. So, um,
I think
so
that's where
talking
we're excited to partner with you because we're just the training component, right?
right.
And so I do a lot of HR webinars, and they go, "Yeah, we get it, Bill. The training's a big part, but we need guidance. We need acceptable use policies, governance, and stuff." And that's why stuff
Mm-hmm.
that you share in your book is
Yep.
so. We make a great team because it is such a big spotlight on companies. And it's for those that are old enough to remember, this is not a year 2000 bug situation where it's this big push for 2 years and then on to something else. This is going to be ongoing. So people will adopt AI and then they will adapt it. And
Yep.
that's, the adapting part comes from folks like you that, that have very valuable insight. Your
Yep.
32 years of experience, which kind of blows me away. So you started like when you were 7, is that right?
No, I don't want to date myself. Yeah, thanks. I'll take it as a compliment. Yes, fairly young.
There you
Let's leave it
go.
at that.
All
But
right,
yeah,
fair
I'm
enough.
middle. I'm not too far behind you, sir. But
That young, huh?
uh, yeah, so I'll touch upon some points around the frameworks again. So what I've started my book with is a fundamental uh, to the alignment around people, process, and technology. So that's where things get overlooked. So either it's all technology or it's all process or all people, because especially I come from a background of larger organization. People is HR, right? Process
Mhm.
is somebody else's job. Technology is an engineer's job. So it doesn't work like that. Even now within AI, like you mentioned about governance, right? So governance without the actual a little feel about the technology, it's all paperwork, right? So
Good
so
point.
you have to have uh, like a three-dimensional view on whether whatever technology or the new big thing is coming. And you've heard this time is different. AI is not like internet, right? Now people are scared of it's going to replace me. So what I have in message in my book is the power of real intelligence in the era of AI. It's human driven. It's going to be people replacing people with AI, not AI itself, right? So AI is basically a technology tool. It's an amplifier, but people and the backing up with processes are the actual the context providers and the guardrails provider to your governance part, right? So that's
Yep.
where it's a three-dimensional view. You have to take a look
Well,
around
and you
that.
think about it that, you know, throughout history, jobs go away anyway, right? And there will be jobs not overnight, but, jobs that'll, eventually get replaced. An example is, checkers that, you see more and more grocery stores, they're self-checkout, but
Yep.
you still can have a live person check you out. The hybrid roles is what I find, interesting, and people need to really think about that is so you have all this computing power and different things that AI can do, analytics and stuff. You still need a human being, one, to make sure that AI is not making a mistake, because spoiler alert, it does. And two, to interpret, the things that it comes up with to say, all right, how best do we take this new knowledge and apply it to our business? So there's always going to be a human component.
Yeah, I mean, human is first, and the message of my book is right. So people ask a lot of the jobs that we are getting affected are engineers, software developers, and all that because of the new big thing, vibe coding. I said, yeah. So the time for the coders, like the hard task, I have it in my book as well on like how you rethink work, hard versus smart, right? So
Mhm.
as a coder, that was hard work. putting in thousands and thousands lines of code. Now we're talking about smart work, thinking like an architect. So the message in my book is you are the solution architect of your life.
100%.
And then basically you need to be adaptable. So you can't be fearful and then be adaptive. So you have to build that courage, upskill however you want to, and then the smart work is study, master, apply, and then track your progress, and that's where the mastery is. So, and with AI search, what I've looked into, yeah, you have. Uh, I used to come up with this thing. You have so much breadth in the offering, so AI becomes like all inclusive, not artificial intelligence. It's all inclusive. So
Right.
to me, and then I did find the verticals where I specialize in, like network technology, security, and some financial related, like blockchain. So you have those verticals as well. So if somebody wants to go deep, uh, so you have that option as with AI search as well. And then if you want to go general, like starting out, to your point, at least get awareness, right? Like the AI search essential, the executive essentials. So you get a flavor of everything. Like you want to go broad, then you want to go deep, you have that option. And it's up to
Well,
you, right?
yeah,
So
it's
uh,
it's
to stay relevant, that's the bottom line. You have to stay relevant.
you have to. And again, knowing that we do, role specific courses. How does AI impact marketing? Legal, finance,
Yep.
healthcare, and that there today it's 70. As we speak, 73-ish courses. There'll be over 200 by the end of the year. But so for companies, there's courses for basic AI literacy, which every single employee needs, right?
Mhm.
At the very
Yep.
least. And
Totally.
then I can make a very strong case that everyone should know how to write good prompts. 2026, no longer a nice to have career skill, it's a must have. And then we have the role specific skill. So you got your literacy, you know how to write prompts. Now, your marketing. So AI plus marketing, you're a developer, developing. And so regardless of the company, regardless of the vertical, and we do go deep. So we have gone wide and we started to go deep. Healthcare is a great example.
Yep.
Last year for many months, we had AI plus healthcare, our anchor course. Now today, we have doctor, nurse, healthcare administrator, pharmacist, healthcare assistant, and we're doing the same things in legal, finance, marketing. And so it does not matter what industry you're in. There are courses, available to help get you AI ready. And then when you on your end, you have the consulting aspect to make sure that, there's proper governance and guardrails that are being put in. And because there's such a big spotlight, there is this, you know, I call it AI anxiety because everybody,
Oh yeah.
workforce, the executives have that, but especially on the executive side and the people that are making the purchasing decisions, they know they got to get this right. I make the analogy, if you buy the wrong TV, you're out a few $100 or maybe a couple $1,000. If you make the wrong purchase for your business, that could have big, impacts. And buying, purchasing, investing in this AI thing is going to be one of the biggest investments the business people make in their lifetime. So they want to know that they're making the right choice.
Yep, you
And
and you touched
we give
you
them the peace
touched
of
upon
mind.
this. Yeah, you touched upon the ROI factor earlier on, right, in the discussion. And again,
Yep.
I trade. So so one of the chapters in the book is profit, right? So profit is not, the goal is not the profit to make money. It's about sustainability and value. So
Yep.
value creation. So the O in that profit is operational overhead. So, so if you take a look at AI as cutting that operational overhead so that we can do the outsource the mundane task and then have our workforce do strategic thinking instead, that's where the value and sustainability for the business will come in. So that's one of the messages from the book I wanted to share, since you touched upon that. And uh, where does this all start? Uh, if you ask me, okay, so then how do big businesses and small businesses differ, right? So the big businesses, it needs to start from the top. The leadership are the actual architects, and then it drives down. And it's not just AI, it should be for any modernization effort
Absolutely.
in the tech side. So if there is no flow down, uh, then it will be hard. You will have a confused population down underneath, and that basically erodes the business value eventually, because your projects are not going to be successful, because it will, the DNA is not there, the alignment is not there. So
And you know
that
what? I
is,
think that for the organizations, these executives that try and decide, okay, what are we going to do with this AI thing? The smart executives realize AI is already in your business, whether you knew about it or not, right?
yeah, the
It
systems,
could
yeah.
simply be employees using Copilot or ChatGPT or whatever. So, yes, you need to, there's a lot of talk in 2025, but now we're first part of 26. I can't think of a more important initiative than to, make your AI decisions now, make them correctly, and then, start that implementation process.
Yeah, and that's what I say. It's, don't treat it as a like a next silver bullet. That's the myth, right? So take technology as one of the pillars, right? So don't forget your people and the processes in place. So start with your people. Are we ready? And are they trained, right? To your point. And then do we have the guardrails in place before you introduce something fast moving like the AI tech we have? And then to the individual smaller business entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, my message to them is start small, start somewhere, right? Right, so get the foundational skill, so that you, it doesn't matter whether you're dealing with chat gpt 5 6 or 7, uh, at least you have the concept ingrained in you. So
Yep.
because you name the vertical, right? Marketing, right? Like all the video AI agents coming in, you have to start somewhere, right? I give you my example. I'm a network engineer and security engineer. I'm not a programmer. I hated programming. That's what I put in my book. Yeah. But I could not resist. I was waiting for this day actually for the vibe
Yeah.
coding to come in. So what I did was basically I took the book, basically it's a coaching book, right? It's a business strategy book. So I looked into some vibe coding tools myself. I said, okay, now I don't have to be a programmer. All I need to be able to think. That's the real intelligence. Okay, what I want to make software do for me. And I was able to create a coaching app out of this thing, of this unblocked book in 1 week.
See,
After I
that's the
had
cool thing. Yeah.
after I had nailed down a couple of environments, I played around with them, and then finally came up with, okay, what works best for my use case. And I was able to develop a coaching app. It's on my website, that if you don't want to read a book, go through the trial version. It basically talks to you in that language. So
And that's what everybody can do that. They don't have to create a coaching app, but well, that's when I say, you can free up 2-3 hours a week. And I'm a big believer, I say it all the time, the institutional knowledge that people have that they've built up over the
yeah,
years of experience in the industry. You can, yeah, vibe coding is, anyone can do that, and they can create processes and apps that, that will help your department, help your business. That's the part that's exciting, that can make you a better, more valuable employee.
yeah,
If you get rid of all this nonsense that you spend, several hours a week on.
yep. Yeah, the grind work, the grunt work,
Grind work.
and then if you spend more time of thinking, so the whole thing is with the AI is become a better thinker, right? If
Yep.
you can become a
Yep.
better thinker, that's where education does for you, is become a better thinker than anything else. Experience by itself, definitely experience helps. Now, with this kind of technology, you have to unlearn a lot of things as well. So, and then you have to relearn a lot of new things. So that's part of the education process, right?
Well, you
So,
know, one of the things too that, you know, I'm a salesperson, and I say, you know, AI is never going to replace salespeople. And the best reason I can say is, you know, especially in business to business, you know, we're more project managers. I've never convinced anyone they've needed, you know, whether when I was selling radio advertising or virtual labs, you know, people have already made that decision, especially with the internet. That's a good thing. They've already done the research. And people are doing research now for AI, but it is just as valuable knowing what not to do, and AI can't, you know, give you that. You know, AI gets trained on, you know, best use cases and everything else. And I go back to business decisions, business purchasing things. People are afraid of making a mistake. And so people like yourself that can say, you know, hey, these are steps you take as you're rolling out your governance and your acceptable use policies. These are things to avoid. What you say, these are things to do,
yeah.
people are definitely interested in what you have to say, what not to do, because that's when they really sit up and listen because they don't want to make a mistake that someone else has already made, right?
So that's where AI comes in, is the data part, right? Since you mentioned the sales, so I've had some conversations around what about salespeople? Well, again, sales has two parts, right? There is a relationship part and there is a data crunching part. Okay, what is my go to market? What is uh, who's buying? So that AI can do much faster, much better than humans, right? But the human touch, the relationship, the empathy, the putting the context, what not to buy, what not to
Or
get
how
in.
simply to implement, you know, when I did virtual
Yeah,
labs,
yeah,
that's not a, you know, that's not an overnight thing. People want
you're
to
right.
know the best practices of onboarding, you know, what are the best practices of integrating, you know, integrating, you know, in this case, you know, our courses or the virtual labs that I used to sell, you know, there's a lot of things that people want to know what not to do just as much as they want to know what are
Right.
the best practices.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a coin thing, right? There are two sides of the coin. You have to look at both.
Yep.
So uh, so that's where it is. And then we are dealing with modernization now. Everything is going. So definitely, I talk about that as well as a like easier methodology where risk reduction is one thing because especially I come from security, so security
Uh-huh.
is one of the things that like especially in the vibe coding type environments, it becomes like more of like a black box, right? Okay, so what's happening behind the scenes, nobody knows, right?
Good
so
point.
so
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's where the human intelligence comes in on the right side of your brain, is how to question that and at least have a contextual knowledge around that, like how thing should work and what are the security elements that needs to be taken care of so that you can uh, probe with your AI tool, whatever you're using, that they are staying on par with that. So that is something I'm constantly now reviewing about. First question is around security, and then
Big time.
so,
Because
so
it can
so
go off the rails badly.
I mean that is where most of the intelligent firms are going to be shying from because of that same uh, how because it's fast, right? Technology is
Hmm.
a multiplier, like I said. If you have a mask, if you have a security hole, it's going to get bigger faster. So you have to balance that out. Like, okay, and how much do you want to open up uh, to this fast track and versus like how do you prevent with the human thinking that goes behind it? So
Agreed.
um, uh, that was great. I mean, I think we are pretty much on the same page around like, and then like a consulting and teaching, which is it's a great combination. And then currently, right now, I think we are more around the awareness pieces of it because there is too much float out there around the tech tools, and every day, like you said, you hear. The new AI LLM comes in with their new version, and then there are not one or two, there are multiples, and they're gazillions use cases popping up where
It
to
blows your
focus.
head, right? You just get overwhelmed.
Yeah, so
Um,
from an execution standpoint, focus is the key. That's part again, whole chapter, finding opportunity, creating unlimited success. That's the focus for me. And that's what I try to convey in the message is yes, focus, and then have a discipline, which is the process part, right? You have to follow through, and then patience is time will tell.
right.
So you can't have everything day one, right? So you need to put the pieces of puzzle together. So
Yep. But that's where your consulting comes in. You know the processes, you know the steps,
yeah.
and you can provide that peace of mind that people are implementing AI.
Yeah, I mean, from a consultant standpoint, like we try to deliver the value, like we call it value add, especially my company. I actually just put a LinkedIn post yesterday, I believe, is ADD, not the attention deficit disorder. It's assess, design, deliver. So
Love it.
you can't just deliver things, right? Because you need to assess where you are and then design and then deliver. So take your time. That's where the patience and discipline comes in. And leads to success. So I think we are running out of time, Bill. So it was a pleasure,
This was
definitely.
fun. Thank you
Good
so
sentiment,
much.
right? So, uh, and if anybody wants to know more, like my company is Avigna LLC, and then you can reach www.avignallc.com, and then we have Bill's company, AICERTS, AICERTS.ai. And
It had to be .ai, right? That'd be weird if
yeah,
it
yeah,
wasn't.
you can't go wrong. It's trademarked. And like I said, it's an all-inclusive buffet of AI, and then still gives you an option of going deep into the sector you want to go in. And especially for me, it's network and security. That's how I started looking into AI certs, and um, I still learn a lot from there myself, being into this 32 years, so can't complain. So
Well, thank you
I
so
thank
much for
you,
having
everybody
me.
who's listening, and thank you, Bill. We'll be talking again more with the new set of perspectives down the road, and then conclude with that. Thank
Let's
you.
do this again soon.
Yeah, we do. Thanks, Bill.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.